Hello everyone, welcome back to Java Basics. In this video, let's try to understand what are loops or iteration statements. So in loops or iteration statements, we have while, do while and for loop. Okay, let's try to understand what are while loops. Okay, let me go to Eclipse and create a new class while, and I'll use a main method. Okay, first let's try to understand what are loops. Loops are used to repeat a block of code as long as the condition is true. So once the condition is false, it moves out of the loop and the iteration stops, and the statement outside the loop are executed. Okay, let's take a simple example. So let's start with a while loop. So what is a while loop? A while loop is a loop where a block of code is executed as long as the condition is met. Okay, so once the condition is not satisfied, then it moves out of the while loop and continues with the next statement. So let's take a simple example. I'll declare a variable integer x equals 1, and I'll make use of while loop, and this is the syntax for while loop: while, and here is the condition. You mention the condition. Okay, so you mention the condition till when this loop should continue. I'll make this loop as x equals less than or equal to 10, and this is the while block, and all the statements within this block will be executed as long as x is less than or equal to 10. Now if I print this, okay, it will print the value of x. Now look carefully. What I have done is I have initialized the value of x as 1, and I've used in the while loop the same x variable, and I'm putting a condition that print x as long as x is less than or equal to 10. So when I try to run this, you see that the loop is not ending. It is printing only 1, right? And it keeps executing till I forcibly stop the program. So I've stopped the program. If you look here, so it has printed 1 n number of times, but this is not what I wanted. I wanted to print number from 1 to 10. So what is missing here? So what we are missing here is the increment of I. Okay, so this is how we increment. So this is nothing but I equals I plus 1. Okay, I'm sorry, since we have used x, so we have to use x. Okay, so this is nothing but x equals x plus 1. So as soon as the first value is printed, x1 is printed, now it goes to the next line and sees that okay, now the value of x should be incremented, so it becomes x equals 2. Now it goes inside the while loop and checks if x is less than or equal to 10. Yes, 2 is less than or equal to 10. It goes inside the loop and prints the value of x. So that is, now the value of x is 2. Now once it is printed, it goes to the next line. Now the value of x will be incremented by 1. So it will be x equals 2 plus 1, 3. So again it goes back to the loop. Now the value of x is 3. So it compares x is less than or equal to 10. So 3 is less than or equal to 10. It's true. So again it goes inside the block. This is false. Okay, so again it goes inside the loop. So it keeps repeating till the value of x reaches 10. So once the value of x is printed, now here the next statement, what it does is it increments the value of x by 1. So 10 plus 1 will be 11. So again the loop continues. It goes back to the while condition and checks if x is less than or equal to 10. Now the value of x has already been incremented and it has reached 11. 11 is not less than or equal to 10. Okay, so once the condition is false, it doesn't go inside the loop, or it doesn't go inside the while block. It moves out of the while block and prints. Let me give some print statement. I'll make this as while loop ended. Okay, now if I print this, you see that, just a minute. Okay, now you see that starting from 1 it has printed till 10, and once the condition becomes false it moves out of the while block and prints the next statement, which is outside the while block, that is nothing but while loop ended. Okay, this is one of the simplest way to explain a while loop. So let us take another example. Okay, let me comment all this code. I'll create a new variable, integer x equals 1 and integer sum equals 0. So here what I'll do is I want to print the sum of first 10 numbers starting from 1. Okay, and store the value in sum variable. So what I'll do is I'll use a while loop. I'll put a condition, x should be less than or equal to 10, and inside the while block I say print, no, I'm sorry, we don't need anything to print here. So what I'll do is I'll say sum equals sum plus x. Okay, and the value of x I'm incrementing. So this loop will continue till x reaches 10. Okay, so outside the loop what I'll do is I'll say print sum. Okay, let me explain what is happening inside the loop. So here I've initialized a variable x of data type integer with the value 1, and I've created another variable sum which is of integer data type, and I've initialized the value equals 0. Now put a condition using while statement and I've mentioned a condition that x should be less than or equal to 10. Okay, now the first condition, when I run the program, since the value of x is 1 at the beginning, so it checks, okay, if x1 is less than or equal to 10, it's true, so it goes inside the loop. So what it does is first it looks at this statement. Here it says sum equals sum plus x. So what I'm doing is initially the value of sum is 0, so sum equals 0 plus 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1, so that value is stored in the sum variable. Okay, now again I'm incrementing the value of x, so x becomes x equals x plus 1, that is 2. Now again it goes back to the while condition. Now the value of x is 2, so now 2 is less than or equal to 10, so this again is true, so it goes inside the loop. Now sum equals sum plus x, the earlier value of sum was 1, now sum equals 1 plus 2, this value of sum becomes 3, and x is incremented in the next line, so here it becomes x equals 3. The loop continues as long as x reaches 10. So once the x reaches 10, what it does is it goes here, it evaluates the sum. Okay, so sum plus value of x would be 10. So now it goes to the next statement, x here what happens, the value of x will be x equals x plus 1, so x equals, the value of x will be 10, so x equals x 10 plus 1, so it becomes 11. Again it goes back to the while condition and checks if 11 is less than or equal to 10. So now this is wrong, right? So 11 is not less than or equal to 10, it is greater than 10, so it comes out of the loop. Now I've asked the next statement to print the sum, the total sum. Okay, so now when I run this program, you see that the result is 55. So it has added all the values of numbers from 1 to 10 and stored in the variable sum, and the same thing is printed here. Okay, now let's try to understand what is do while loop. Do while loop is almost similar to while loop. The difference is that in while loop the condition is evaluated first. Okay, this condition is evaluated first, and then the body of the while loop is executed. Okay, but whereas in do while loop the body of the loop is executed first and then evaluates the condition next. Okay, so let's take an example. Okay, for time being let me comment this. Let me take a new example. I'll declare a variable x and initialize with the value 1. Now I'll declare a do statement, block of do loop, and I say print the value of x and increment the value of x. And after this body of do loop I'll put a condition as x should be less than or equal to 5. Okay, so this is how we write a do while loop. So here the difference is that here the body is executed first. Okay, the do body is executed first and then the condition is evaluated next. Okay, so what happens here is when I print, so first the value of x is 1. So when it goes inside the do block, it sees that first it has to print the value of x. So initially now the value of x becomes 1 and now it is incremented to x plus 1. So here the value of the value of x becomes 2. Now it goes out of the loop and sees that there is a while condition and the condition says x should be less than or equal to 5. Now here the value of x is 2, so 2 is less than or equal to 5, true. It goes back here. Now since the value of x has changed to 2, okay, it goes inside the do statement and prints value of x as 2, then increments. Now here the value of x becomes 3, so 3 is less than or equal to 5, it's true. Goes back, the value of x becomes 3, it prints 3. Now here the value becomes 4. Okay, now again it comes back here, so 4 is less than or equal to 5, it's true. Yeah, good. Goes back here and prints 4, and here now the value of x is changed to 5 here, and now here it checks 5 is less than or equal to 5, true. Again it goes back here, the value of x becomes 5, it prints 5, and now here the value becomes 6. Okay, it goes out of do body and checks the while condition, so here 6 is less than or equal to 5. Now the condition becomes false, so this loop will not continue and it will terminate the loop. Okay, so when I execute this program, we see that 1 2 3 4 5 is printed. Okay, hope it's clear. Okay, now let's try to understand what a for loop. So a for loop is a control statement which executes a block of code multiple times. Okay, let me explain you with an example. So let me create a new class. I'll name it as for loop. Okay, now let me write the syntax of for loop. Okay, so this is the syntax for loop. Okay, and this is one of the example what I've taken. So this is within the brackets. Okay, this is known as initialization, and this is known as condition, and this is known as iterator, and this is the body of for loop. And whatever you enter code in the for loop, as long as the condition is true, this particular block of code is executed, and once the condition fails, it moves out and prints other lines of code. So let me print something outside the for loop. So let me say end of for loop. Okay, so now here I is a variable, and we know that every variable need to have a data type. So I've taken integer as the data type and I've initialized it with value 0. And the next step is this is the condition I less than 3. So and the third step is I plus plus, which where I am incrementing the value. This is known as iterator, and this is the body of for loop, so where I am printing some code as long as the condition is true. So when I execute this program, you see that 0 1 2 is printed, and also outside the loop end of loop is also printed. So let me explain how we got this output. So first the value of I is 0, right? Now it checks the condition is 0 less than 3 true, so it goes inside the loop, body of the loop, and prints 0. Okay, so this is how you see the result. Now next, okay, sorry, let me comment this. Now next what it does is it again goes inside the loop and increments the value of I. So now the value of I will be 0 plus 1, so it becomes 1. Okay, so it again checks the condition 1 is less than 3 true, again it goes inside and prints the value of I. So again it goes back and increments the value of I. So now the value of I becomes 2. So 2 less than 3 true, so again it goes inside and prints 2. It goes back, increment happens, so now the value of I becomes 3, so it checks 3 less than 3. This is false because 3 is not less than 3, so the condition become false and this particular for loop body is not executed. Okay, the for loop body is terminated and immediately the next statement is executed. Hope it's clear.